Well, good morning, everybody. I think I know most of you, but I don't know all of you. My name is Maggie Kinloch, and I'm the chair of the Scottish Drama Training Network. And it really is my immense pleasure to offer all of you a very warm welcome to the inaugural annual conference of the Scottish Drama Training Network here in this wonderful venue that is the new Langside College Theatre Arts and Conference Centre. Well done, Langside College, for building this venue. I think that's worth a round of applause. Fantastic. The whole event today is a little moment of history, of course, and it's a moment that we've all been impatient to share, and I believe it is the very first time that all of Scotland's college and higher education sector drama providers will actually have been gathered together with our colleagues in the industry to talk about the issues relating to our training and employment of drama practitioners. Thank you all for coming today and for engaging with what is your network. I believe it's vital to the future of drama training here in Scotland, in all of its forms, that we do engage together in this way. We all know, of course, that what we do day in, day out is essential to a civilised and healthy society. It may be expensive in hard cash terms relative to other subjects, but it is true value for money when we consider the economic benefit and the emotional impacts of our creative industries. A world without our graduates would be a very much poorer world in so many ways. And here in this small nation of Scotland, we see the impact of our work so clearly within our society. We develop our Indigenous talent and we attract new talent from across the world to train here and to make contribution to the art form, to the economy, to the industry, to education and indeed to their own growth as culturally literate citizens of the world. So our work really does matter, and the Scottish Drama Training Network gives us the chance to be stronger and more effective as a group than we can be as individual institutions. So I truly look forward to our work together in the years to come, and indeed to our work together today. And I hope that you'll enjoy this historic day and that new partnerships may emerge from this new network relationship. So it's now my pleasure to declare our first conference officially open and to hand over to our director, Alison, Forsyth, who will guide us now through our day together. Thank you all.
I am very excited about today because we now have the prospect of working together for the first time to create the future for the Scottish Drama Training Network. It is your network, as Maggie said, and I only hope that I can be as productive and as useful as you need me to be. And also that by the end of the day, we will have reached some important conclusions that will point the way forward. I hope sincerely that you will enjoy the day and also that you will gain from it. As you're aware, the creation of this network was a Scottish Funding Council initiative, and so it's now my very great pleasure to introduce someone whose guidance has been invaluable to me throughout the past months. Would you please welcome Judith Henderson of the Scottish Funding Council.
Hello. I'm keenly aware that I stand between you and the interesting bit, so I won't take long, but as Maggie's pointed out, at least I don't stand between you and a drink, which would be worse. On behalf of the Funding Council, and actually personally, I'd like to thank you for coming along to the first conference of the Scottish Drama Training Network. Working together, we and you can continue to develop creative pathways and new pathways in and out of formal education, work and continuing professional education, those pathways that we're going to need for the future. The conversation that we want to have with the broader network starts here, and the Funding Council and I personally am absolutely delighted to be part of it.
Thank you very much, Jude. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my very great pleasure to move us on now to the panel discussion. And I ask you to welcome our panel chair, Muriel Gray.
Thanks very much for that. I want to know what the difficult conversations were. Perhaps you could tell me what they were later, you know. New colours for spring, I don't know what that would be. We've got three fantastically talented, inspirational and experienced people here today for the panel have really different perspectives on what the training network is going to be all about. And so we're going to have a bit of a discussion, then I'm going to throw it open to you. We're just going to discuss, I think, to start off with, branding, because we've mentioned that a couple of times, talking about branding training. How can you brand training? I mean, I know, for instance, well, here's an example. New York branded drama training for years. It was the place to go and study to be an actor for years. They managed to put their stamp on it culturally, nationally, and creatively. Is that what we're looking for to do this?
Good actors, generally speaking, are people who've also been trained, and they've learned, and on top of their talent, because this is this nebulous element thing we talk about in theatre, you know, actually having a talent to perform, having been trained, adds to their knowledge and how to use their voice and the technical ability on the stagecraft and everything else that they learn through drama college. So that's a definitely important thing. But it doesn't guarantee work at all. But is that important? Because I mean, you could say the same about art schools. You might as well close them down tomorrow, because you go to art school, you don't necessarily end up being an artist. But the things that you learn there are precisely the same things I think you learn in drama, which is about expressing the human condition, about self-discipline, about control, about all those things that you need to be able to be creative and be articulate in the creative industries. Is that such a bad thing? What do you think?
I think it's a hugely important thing, the transferable skills element. I mean, we know at the moment there are more students than there are jobs available in the creative industries, but the skills that you learn through that training, you know, beyond just the few that will make it into being a professional, are hugely transferable, and they're transferable internationally at the moment. I mean, every country in the world is going that way, and I think it's hugely, hugely important to have those transferable skills.
I would agree with that, and you know, we're a small country of about 5 million people, and every 200 years or so the population dips, and we recognise that, and we welcome different groups who come into the country, and that's important because we need that creativity and that intellectual property, and we need that refreshment, if you like. And like Joan, we don't want to get hung up on branding, but we know that in this small country of ours we have some very fine training, and the Drama Training Network covers more than acting, of course. It covers a whole range of aspects of that, and we have some terrific talent out there working all over the world, which has trained in Glasgow, we're in Glasgow, has trained in Scotland, and some of those people came from Scotland in the first place. Some of those people chose to come to Scotland, and we'll hear from a couple of students later this morning who have different stories on that. But I think the important thing is what we do is good. We know it's good, and this, through this network, it can be better. And wouldn't it be wonderful if wherever a potential student was in the world who wanted some aspect of drama training, they were able to say, well, actually, I'm going to go to Scotland, because wherever I go, whichever institution I go to in Scotland, I know there's something that's good quality there, and that through this network we can help communicate that message.
So if you're going to put a question to any of our panelists, do you mind just identifying who you are? Just not the CIA, it's just sort of helpful to know if you're attached to an institution or anything. Anyone want to kick off? There's a roving mic, I always love saying that. There's a gentleman down here. Could you just hang on, the mic will come to you so we can hear you.
Hi, good morning. David Hughes, Stowe College. I'd just like, on behalf of probably everybody else here, welcome the group getting together, and I think this is going to be a tremendous force for developing our brand. But one of the things I think is probably important, I would like to come out of this conference, if we're talking about branding, and I do think that is important, what are our strategic aims? And I believe that, I would hope this conference could come out with some of those ideas. And I think as a lobby group, particularly given the Funding Council are here, I think it's important to be able to, with a single voice, be able to say to the Funding Council, we are important to individuals, to the economy, and that's why we should be here and be invested in.
Great, thanks. Anyone want to come back on that? It was just beautifully said, frankly.
Yes, articulated.
Anybody else get points? Gentleman here, hang on. Thanks.
Stephen Cafferty, Central Glasgow College. Just going back to the question of students creating their own work and funding. I know numerous students who applied for funding and have got nothing. So those students just disappear from the Scottish art scene. Now, do you think it's important that students, HNC, HNDE, academy level, degree level, there should be an actual funding put aside for young, emerging students?
Well, I think you could. The trouble is, there's a very small pot of money available for the type of thing you're talking about, and it should be more. I agree. So emerging companies can be given a bit of to get going. On the other hand, there's a lot of companies that the great success stories doing exactly that. The leading companies in a lot of the leading companies in Scotland today, companies like Vanishing Point or Gridiron or companies like that, really just started out of nothing, but they happened to be a very talented bunch of people who had great projects. And that's the brutal reality of it, that it's so competitive and so ruthless artistically, that unless a company of young people come together with something that is really worthwhile and new and innovative, it's not going to get to that next stage.
And you know, I mean, of course, we all understand that the growth of new companies is only one thing that our graduates will do. And I think, you know, with the range of skills that our graduates have as performers, as writers, as producers, as directors, as teachers, blah, 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 you know, the list is endless. Actually, it's more than possible to earn a living doing all of these different things, having that portfolio career. And you may have a particular one that you wish to do more than others, but so many of our graduates from all of our institutions, we meet them everywhere, don't we, doing a whole range of things. And they may initially have done an actor training course, or they may have done a technical training course, or whatever it is they might have done initially. But as people of performance, of people of creativity, they have moved into a whole range of roles and are making decent livings doing it.
But
yes, sorry.
So just on the training side, though, I think certainly my experience of when we give a space at, when the Arch, or particularly the Tron, to a young company of graduates to try and put on a piece of theatre, there's a very steep learning curve. They have to professionally produce a piece of theatre, and maybe part of the exploration in terms of training can look at how they can equip themselves better to know how to actually themselves produce and stage a piece of theatre.
Great, thanks. Any other questions? Somebody there, yeah. Oh yes, sorry, beg your pardon, lady there.
Hello, Anne Gifford, University of the West of Scotland. I think it's been a really interesting debate and discussion so far. A couple of points. Your point, Maggie, about diversity, maybe that's something that we do build into our brand around opportunity, because we have the opportunity through this network to provide routes through for our young people and our whole communities that can open up different pathways. Yeah. Through the creative industry. I think that's key. And then picking up on Joan's phrase around communities of practice, for me, I think that really kind of sums up the potential of this network. And if we're working towards a brand, I think that might be a very good way to take it forward.
I can't wait to see what brand you come up with at the end of the day. Could somebody text me? It's really hard, but that's a really good point. I mean, so do you want to come back on that, Maggie, or just to take the praise? Yes,
I think that I would just like to bring into this discussion the idea that quality is part of our identity as well, and to maintain quality in terms of training is really important. And to do that, whether we want to create theatre through traditional forms or amalgamations with other people or experimental work or whatever, that rests on training to develop skills. And there's a real attack on skills at the moment. I see skills being eroded in our education process at the moment.
That's a really good point. Is it not also the fact that if you create that atmosphere, you attract people who might not have previously thought that they had that creative impetus? James McAvoy is the obvious one, when Peter Mullen changed that boy's life, and now he's one of the world's greatest actors. He didn't know he could do it beforehand. And so what the gentleman's saying there is really important. It's how you give out the brand, if you like, of top quality, of somebody going, oh, hang on a minute, that is so exciting and such high quality. I'd like to be part of that. Could you have the microphone just so we can hear at the back? Thanks.
I think we've got to remember, and given the fact that the Funding Council are here, that the 19 colleges and the universities are funded not just purely for the aspect of vocational skills, which obviously a conservatoire like the RSAND focus on, but we've got the lifelong learning agenda, and we're dealing, particularly in drama and music, etc., we're dealing with many disengaged kids who would not normally be involved in education. Absolutely. But this is somewhere where they can go, they can feel comfortable, they can express themselves, and we can turn around disengaged individuals to mature individuals who can actually go out and engage with the economic community, possibly not in that particular field, but they've developed a self-confidence.
That is a knockout point to end this panel discussion on. Thank you very much. So just want to say I'm so excited about this network. Honestly, I think it's really, really great. The discussions that are going to go on today are going to be fantastic. You have so much to discuss and so little time. But would you join me in thanking Maggie and Joan and Andy for coming on stage?